What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake MLB DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and of course I'm from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above or directly at WiseTake.com. If you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level, we are a premium DFS content provider, as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out. Day Pass is available to try us out. That being said, if you're new to this channel, welcome. You've come to the right place with some free fire DFS content, so please subscribe, hit notifications bell, don't miss out on any of the free content we put out covering MLB slates Monday through Friday. Streaming the night before, so really Sunday through Thursday, but covering the slates, Monday through Friday. Hopefully you guys had a good extended weekend, 3-day weekend. Some of you maybe a 4-day weekend, maybe more. Some of you had to work, go do the dirty, get that overtime, holiday pay, whatever. But we appreciate you, and it's always nice, man. One of my favorite holidays, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, all this. My father obviously is a, like 25 plus year veteran, brother-in-law, did 10 years. So, near and dear. I grew up on Army bases all over the world, really. So, big shout out to the military, out there for sure. But hopefully you guys enjoyed your weekend and you're ready to get back into the grind. The grind for us started on Monday as per usual. We don't take days off here. It's not allowed. Otherwise, take Nation. So we went out there. I actually got close. The Reds were the stack that I highlighted in the article. They grew on me more and more overnight and in the morning as I finished everything up. And then the Cubs were the other team that kind of stood out to me. So I was pretty happy with the result, but not quite first. Not quite to the top where we're trying to get. Pat Bush, what's going on? See you in the YouTube chat. Says, what's up, CK? How was your Memorial Day? I just watched baseball day. And now the NBA playoffs, man. Yeah, man, it was solid. Spent it with some family, barbecuing, hung out with my daughter and my wife. That was, really the main thing. And just enjoying the time together while sweating some MLB, knowing the Mets were coming on late, NBA playoffs to fall back on. It's been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal. And speaking of NBA playoffs, we are still covering that. I haven't done any shows for it. We are still covering it. I read a Core Plays article on my projections I'm still doing throughout the day. Cheat sheets. Paul Edie does his fast break for slates of 3 games or more, still over at WiseTake.com, so check it out. Okay, now to business. And business is booming today because we got a 14-game slate, a massive 14-game slate to break down. So we're going to go ahead and start things off with our top pitchers segment. And the first pitcher that stood out to me on my first look was obviously Aaron Nola. Nola's numbers look really good, 28% K rate, xFIP and Sierra lower than his ERA is always a good sign. Problem is he's playing in one of the most hitter-friendly parks in the game, against one of the top offenses in the league against righties. The Reds were the team that kind of got me where I needed to go on Monday's slate, and it's because they're good. And when they're at home, that's really when you want to play them in that park. So I think Nola's fine, and I think it will be popular because of the options that we do have. But there's certainly some risk involved there. Tyler Glasnow was the other one that stood out to me. This game's in Yankee Stadium. We would much prefer it to be in Tampa, his home park. But Glasnow by far the best numbers on the slate. And on DraftKings, the fact that he's the third most expensive pitcher is kind of crazy. FanDuel, he's the most expensive pitcher, so I think they kind of nailed it. I know for us, just on raw projections, the projections you see on the screen are just raw projections, haven't been adjusted. They will be adjusted overnight. But, by far the best of these guys up top. So, I love Glasnow. He's playing the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. But the Yankees, quite frankly, they've been struggling. 25% K rate as a team, 140 ISO, 97 WRC plus, 307 WOBA. I do realize that Glasnow, like a lot of really good strikeout pitchers, has struggled at times with the home run ball. He's coming off of a phenomenal start against Kansas City. To me, I think Glasnow is the top pitcher on the slate, and it's really not close. And if maybe his ownership drops more than it should be because it's the Yankees, so be it. I think Domingo Germán is interesting. It's the Rays. Anybody that faces the Rays, we got to be interested in with their 25% K rate. They have been one of the better teams tied for second best with Toronto for WRC plus against righties, and they have a 174 ISO, but a 25.9% K rate. Always makes whoever's pitching against them an interesting tournament play. Chris Bassett's coming off of a really good game, and now he gets to play Seattle in Seattle. If we take a look at where Seattle is at currently against righties so far this season, we will see they have a 25.6% K rate, a 155 ISO, 285 WOBA, 85 WRC plus. They have not been good. So there's definitely some upside for Mr. Bassett here, and he's got one of the better parks. We talked about all these pitchers so far. They all have tough parks. So he's got the best park by far so far. Sonny Gray's right under him on DraftKings, significantly cheaper on FanDuel. He's playing Philly. Again, not a good park in Cincinnati. Philly does have some pop. They do. But if I can find them on this damn list, 25.7% K rate, 135 ISO, 294 WOBA, 85 WRC plus. They've struggled against righties. Now again, the park, they have a pretty good hitting park themselves, mind you, though. But regardless, this looks like a pretty good spot for Sonny Gray. I wish he was cheaper on DraftKings. It's on FanDuel at 7.7. It's mighty tempting, but I think that he'll see increased ownership because of it. I think Alex Wood is definitely an interesting play. We've seen the Angels have been a little banged up, missing a few people. The problem with the Angels is they don't strike out a ton, especially against lefties, 20.9%. But only 154 ISO. Alex Wood's numbers have been phenomenal. I think he's in play. He's another one, though, with a price, right? No matter how good he's been, I don't know if I feel comfortable paying that kind of price for him in a spot like this. But he's at home, great park, all that good shit. And then the last guy I'm going to mention, there'll be cheap guys we can get into, and there's a couple other guys that we will discuss in the What to Watch segment. But Eric Lauer, I know he's not like our ideal whatever, but listen, so far he's pitched all right. He's coming off of a pretty good game. And he's playing a Detroit Tigers team that, as of right now, is dead last in WRC plus against lefties. They have a 268 WOBA, a .089 ISO, and a 31% K rate. So I think that kind of commands us to at least look at Mr. Lauer, who's had his moments in the past. I know he's had some pretty rough stretches as well in his career, but I think we have to at least consider him. Now he is, how much is he? Mr. Lauer. I don't even think DraftKings had him. I had to go to the MLB probables page to figure out 8.4 on DraftKings. So I wish he was cheaper. On FanDuel, I just don't trust him to get the quality start. So it's really DraftKings as an SP2 where I'm interested. He's playing Detroit. There's a couple other guys that stood out, but can't discuss them all. We're going to move on to top offenses. So we have Coors on this slate. I put Coors on the What to Watch because I think it's two offenses that have been struggling and two pitchers that I think at least have a shot at actually having decent games. Doesn't mean necessarily we want to play them, but the question is more, what do we want to do with the offenses? Now, there wasn't a ton of offenses that stood out to me. So normally I just kind of go with chalky options like the Twins, and I'll discuss the Twins number one. I think that the Twins will be pretty popular, and rightfully so. They're in Baltimore. I know they didn't do all that well on Monday's slate, but they're playing Bruce Zimmerman, who kind of surprised me. I forgot who he played last time. He kind of stunned me. I thought he was going to get lit up. The numbers all indicated that he should have gotten lit up, and it just kind of didn't work out that way. But Bruce Zimmerman against the White Sox, that's what it was, man. Against the 6 Ks, 1 run. It was a home run, but 6 Ks in 5 innings against the White Sox. That's tough. So I'll give him props for that. But the Twins have also been pretty good against lefties if we take a look here. 107 WRC plus, 192 ISO. They do strike out, 24.6%. But a 192 ISO is really what I was looking at. Now you're putting them with a massive park boost here in Baltimore. The Twins stand out once again against Mr. Bruce Zimmerman and his 5.15 ERA, 4.38 xFIP, 4.43 Sierra. But again, I expect that they'll be pretty popular outside of Coors. The next two offenses, there's a couple I was close with. Caleb Smith, I think, against the Mets is an interesting spot for the Mets. They're starting to get a little healthy. Pete Alonso's back. He's a big fly ball guy. But really the two offenses that stood out to me the most, and these aren't, like I said, these aren't obvious. I think if we were going to keep this segment obvious like we normally do, we would talk about Coors, which, again, I'm going to make my case for that in the Things to Watch segment. But for this one, the first one is Atlanta against Strasburg. So, I wasn't big on Strasburg the other day. I talked about that on the show. In the article, I wrote my concerns on Strasburg and his numbers and against Cincinnati. And this was at home against Cincinnati. It wasn't a terrible game. 5 Ks in 5 innings, but 3 earned runs, 1 home run. The score was bad. Now he's playing Atlanta. Another really good offense. In my opinion, an even better offense. Now, he is going to see a lot of righties, which is cool. They're missing Ozuna because he's dealing with some shit he did. Not totally even sure. Don't even want to get into that. There's some fucked up shit, I guess. But a 4.83 xFIP, 4.92 Sierra against Atlanta. If we take a look at Atlanta, they do have a 24% K rate, but a 197 ISO, 324 WOBA, 104 WRC plus. And I think we can get Atlanta at really low ownership against Steven Strasburg. But at the very least, I don't think I'm that interested in pitching him until I see these numbers start to improve. The other side of that game was the other offense that kind of was interesting. Max Fried. He's been good at times. But if you look at his xFIP in Sierra, he's not doing as well as he did last year. He's just not. The price is low, and I think that he's definitely a tournament option. We can get into that. But I think that the prospect, at least, of these guys are interesting. If you look at Washington, 23.6% K rate against lefties, only a 142 ISO. That's not great. But a 111 WRC plus, 336 WOBA, not bad. So those were like two offenses that I thought could come in lower owned. That kind of was a little interesting. I think the Dodgers against John Gant's another one. You can see Gant's got a 1.81 ERA, but a 5.03 xFIP, a 17% K rate. He's a guy that's always struggled against lefties. So the Dodgers are another standout offense. Probably more on the obvious side, but especially because St. Louis's bullpen, we've talked about this pretty much every show, currently the highest xFIP. Their bullpen currently has the highest xFIP in the league. So definitely the Dodgers are a team to pay attention to. Like I said, there's a couple others that I'm probably skipping over we can get into, but we're going to go into things to watch at this point. Number one is Robbie Ray. Really this whole game, but Robbie Ray against Miami. So if we look at Miami first, we'll notice that they have a 27.8% K rate, a 164 ISO, and a 302 WRC plus. 302 WOBA, 94 WRC plus. They have not been very good to lefties. 27.8% K rate is the big thing. Robbie Ray's Ks have gone back up 28%. His xFIP and Sierra look really good. The only reason he's in the what to watch rather than top pitchers is because this game is going to take place in Buffalo. So they're not playing in Dunedin anymore. But we saw last year that Buffalo was a very hitter-friendly park as well. So we want to keep that in mind. Historically, Ray has been a fly ball guy, hard contact guy, but it is Miami. I lean towards Robbie Ray. I'm sure he'll be in my GPP segment of the article. But wanted to point that out. On the other side of this, Alcantara has also been a really solid pitcher. I mean, the best thing Miami has right now with was it Pablo Lopez, I think, is out. They're missing somebody. But, Alcantara has been awesome. Toronto could be a tough, pesky type offense. Currently third in WRC plus against righties, 22.4% K rate, 185 ISO, 334 WOBA. Tied for the second highest WRC plus against righties with Tampa. And again, this game is in Buffalo. I lean towards the Toronto offense in this one, and I think we can get them at really low ownership in a very good park. But I still think it was worthy of adding to the what to watch segment because his numbers are good. Now we get into cores. So Herman Marquez, his numbers haven't been awful. Keep in mind he does play in cores, 51% ground ball rate. And really what it comes down to is on DraftKings he's 6'7". So that is really cheap, and there's not a lot of cheap guys that I'm not interested in. If we take a look at the Rangers offense, 26.7% K rate, 150 ISO, 302 WOBA, 94 WRC plus. There's definitely a path for Marquez to be successful, but again, this game is in core, so there's a lot of risk in that altitude. On the flip side, Dane Dunning, his numbers show he's due for some positive regression. An xFIP and Sierra significantly lower than his ERA. A 356 batting average balls in play, which is very high. We know the league average is somewhere around 300. And his ground ball rates look good. He's playing Colorado, who is currently dead last in WRC plus against righties. A team WOBA of 138 and a 24% K rate. I think at some point we see Dunning kind of turn things around a little bit from what we've seen, but maybe it doesn't happen in core. So I prefer to have that whole thing in the what to watch rather than, top offenses for that reason. lastly, not as exciting, but I think Heaney against the Giants is something to keep an eye on. Heaney's another one that, according to his ERA relative to his xFIP, he's been pitching a lot better than his ERA indicates. He's always been a fly ball, hard contact guy, but he's pitching in San Francisco, one of the better pitching parks in the game. The concern is the Giants currently, 5th in WRC plus against lefties, 191 ISO, 22.2% K rate, 337 WOBA. Heaney's another one where 7-7 on DraftKings, you could use that. 6-7 on FanDuel, that could make things interesting, but it's a tough road for him. What wins out here? Does Heaney's a positive regression come, or the Giants is too good against lefties? This ain't the right spot. This ain't the right team. And that's going to round it out for the what to watch segment. Now it's time for the Dong Watch. Time to find some home runs. And I'm going with Mr. Freddie Freeman against Steven Strasburg. Probably could have seen that coming. Just as easily, I'm going to go with the Washington National. And I think I'm going to go with Trey Turner. We'll go with Trey Turner for the third one. And now I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to pick a Toronto player. I could pick a Dodger, but I'm going to pick a Toronto player to roll. Actually, no, I'm going to go with the Dodger. Back out of that one. Let's go with the Dodger. John Gant. Let's go Cody Bellinger, man. Bellinger's back. I think it'd probably take him a while to get into the swing of things, but I don't give a damn. I'm going Cody Bellinger. Cody B. Let's do it. And that's the Dong Watch. I appreciate those of you watching live, those of you who took the time to watch after the fact, and I just ask that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave some comments. Leave me some comments. Give me your thoughts on the slate. Who do you like? What stood out to you? What did I miss? Just talk to me. Drop some info. So I appreciate you guys. Hit the like button. Share the show as much as you can. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation. As always, good luck.